All right, guys, we are live here Friday evening. I'd like to welcome everybody back to the Independent Investor Channel live stream. This is one of the original live streams on YouTube. Somebody pointed out I've been doing this a while. I have. I've done this from my dinner table. I've done this from my bedroom. Now I'm doing it from my living room. So I guess we're moving up in the world a little bit, right? Just like to welcome everybody to the opportunity to bring people together. Absolutely. Like to highlight Proper 19 owns the biggest contribution to the channel. I'm humbled by this. It's unnecessary, very appreciated, man. Very cool. We were just kind of talking before the stream here about the perspective about money and some wages. And I attribute a lot of it to inflation, I guess. But we were remembering a day, and Bob, who's a good friend of the community here, talking is reaching a few decades back anyway at $1.25 an hour. I could reach back and put a set amount to $5 for doing some pretty back-breaking labor as well. Wouldn't have traded any of that for nothing. But Proper 19, certainly a special shout out to you. That's really great, man. That goes to support some of the bills, some of the things that I do to support the message and putting out the content that I do. This being really one of the flagship products that I put through. And contrary to the belief on social media, I don't make anything for doing this. Okay. I do have affiliates through the program, that of which I openly disclose. I have affiliates that I don't even advertise, right? I get hit up on a daily basis for business inquiries. And I would venture to guess that 98% of those are probably phishing attempts or attempts that are not fact-based or not, they don't have a lot of merit to them. However, I do get hit up with a lot of different opportunities. And I'm kind of waiting for that opportunity for somebody to come by, see what type of product I bring to the table, because my vision for this channel is very, very simple. I need to do live venues. It's just that simple. It's a dream of mine. I would absolutely do it. I've been approached a couple times on the channel. I was very, very close to solidifying plane tickets, actually, for a small business. It was about an $80 million a year business, actually, but so not small potatoes by any means. But the ask was really awesome, man. Hey, come down and talk to my group. My group is really interested in this. They don't have the first foggiest clue about investing or where to start, and they just need somebody to talk to them, real talk. And I can do that. I've been there, done that. Okay, and I haven't done every job out there, but Christopher Blaine, who's a good friend of the family as well, was mentioning, his first job, and some of these folks that I have a real kinship with are these folks that can reach back and remember where they came from, how hard they worked, and quite honestly, man, those are the times that they're ingrained the most in your mind. They really are. I think those are the life lessons that stick with us, and those are those opportunities to learn how to work. That I do think there's a comment about the younger generation, and I got to be kind of careful. There's a generational gap. I'm quick to acknowledge that, and where a lot of these younger generations, they want it quicker. And they want to exploit the opportunity through technology and maybe even, dare I say, social media opportunity to find their place in this world. I think that's great. I hold true to my roots. I think there's a very, very important inherent lesson. For those folks that have ever opted to put their hand in the air and join the military service, they can absolutely relate to me, and my hat's off to you. There's no doubt. It's something that I wouldn't trade for the world. I always say that when I joined service life, I was half depressed. Try working on the ocean and see how that toys with you. I've always been very, very devoted, and I got some kudos for doing this project for as long as I have. But I approach the live stream the same way I do my investing, and I do it because I want to. Right. I work really hard at it, as well as everything else that I do that I enjoy. And it doesn't really seem like work to me, to be honest with you. It's those little moments of acknowledgement that I really, really appreciate. I'm humbled every single time it happens. There are a lot of different ways to seek out your opportunity, and make no mistake, the message on the Independent Investor channel seeks to bring people together and try to find those common threads in investing, so as you can take some of those common threads and deploy them. And it's a very, very difficult audience that I'm trying to reach. There's no doubt. Okay. There are those households that I'm trying to reach that are skeptical, just like I am. Those households that are hardworking, just like I am. Um, those households that have a little bit of cynicism, like I do, of the world. And that I think that there's a lot of people trying to mislead a lot of people out there to where it is they want you to go. And I really want people to understand that by looking internally, they can probably find a heck of a lot more answers for themselves. And hopefully that's the type of message that will continue to foot stomp. Again, it's very, very difficult to win over those people who come on and they're really trying to authenticate your message. That's what I do. That's why I don't watch social media. I don't. I'll catch a YouTube video every now and then, but you won't find me on social media very often. I have a private Facebook page for family that they can come on and they can take a look see. But I've been working on my spiritual health this week. Nothing like the North Carolina beaches to do that for me, for sure, man. We were in Wilmington beginning of last week, and great time for me. I'm recharged. I'm relaxed. I'm ready to go. Somebody like myself, at least, to hopefully people can relate with the fact that you need to take those opportunities every now and then and invest in those areas of what I consider to be spiritual health and well-being. Super important, right? I put these different aspects of life into different compartments, and I don't typically cross the lines. I don't. I try to look at them with a different lens, because I think each and every one of them takes a different application to win at. Okay. So the title of this video, Why Most Retail Investors Suck, I was not, well, maybe I was trying to get some attention. Yeah, I was. If I offended you, I do apologize. But here's the thing. Retail investors spend a lot of their time wasting time and seeking all of those things out there that will end up getting them to a place that probably will not render a whole lot of success. Okay. And I'm going to earmark what I feel like are a bunch of those things. Okay. If it's your first time to the Independent Investor channel, give it a chance. Okay. If you don't like what you hear, you don't like the delivery, you don't like me, you don't like anything, you don't like the fact that I don't come on with a clown suit and jump up and down and entertain you for the totality of an hour and 15 minutes. What I would expect is that you acknowledge the work that I put into this project every single Friday. Okay. I don't miss this. I'm a very constant on the channel. I've done the live stream on the channel now for a couple of years. And it's a mainstay. There's a lot of people, I think, based on the reception that I get every single Friday. Now, we are in kind of a lull period a little bit on YouTube and also in investing. You're going to see some of the portfolio rollouts that I give tonight. That you're going to be surprised at some of the moves that I did actually make. Actually did some liquidations and put some cash to the side. I did that into the close today, as there was some euphoric buying in the stock market today. If you were paying attention at all, you may have saw what I saw, and perhaps maybe everybody was looking to buy the market. I put in 16 sell orders to put some cash to the side. No problem. Okay. You could say, well, Ryan, this is why you suck as an investor. You're a retail investor and you preach passive investing all the time. You preach dividend growth investing all the time, and yet you're hitting the sell button. I think when you realize the totality and the complexity of my particular management strategy, that of which I could probably write a book on, maybe you could potentially understand or try to understand where I'm coming from And moreover, take that opportunity to look at where you're coming from and how you can maybe improve upon your situation, because the moves that I made today were for me. Okay. I don't make moves in my stock portfolio to appease YouTube. I don't do that. Um, Furthermore, I make moves based on my insistence that my program works. I've been very, very successful. The 16 sell orders that I made today were 16 profit takers. Okay. I was up on every single one of them. I did not sell for, nor do I typically sell for a loss at all in the portfolio. Okay. So I'm going to disclose, it took me a while to update the portfolios for you guys, but I'll have you know, we were up another 3,200 week over week. If you guys remembered from last week, we were up about 7,400, $7,414 or so. So up over $10,000 over the last couple weeks. Not too shabby, not too bad. Nothing to shake a stick at for a retail investor like myself. But I felt like it was time to put some money to the side. I was on the fringe of a very aggressive trade that I've got going on that I would really like to focus my attention on. I had the opportunity to buffer that trade even more with the positions that I was able to liquidate and put some heavy, heavy cash positions on the side. And there's going to be some people out there that don't like that move. That's totally fine. I could be wrong, right? You could be right. And that's great to constructively criticize the moves. But remember, there's not a lot of people coming onto social media and being as open and confident in their program enough to come on and disclose every single week whether or not my portfolio is up or down. Okay. And I don't fabricate the numbers. Okay. I roll those out as they are every single week for your visibility to tune in and say, wow, this is great, man. I wish I would have had this when I started investing, to be able to tune into a YouTube channel free of charge and just sit back and listen to somebody like me on how I deploy my strategy. Now, I'm not a penny stock investor, okay, but I do some hyper growth speculation. I do some dividend growth. I do some passive investing. I do ETF and index fund investing and the like. So it appeals to a lot of people out there, and it should be of interest to anybody out there seeking some sort of involvement in the stock market to tune into a message like mine. Okay, guys. So really appreciate your guys' time. Hold on just a sec. I had to kick over here. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to kick this off with the portfolio reviews. That's actually why I kicked on a little bit early. And we are going to start with the taxable account. So this only has a couple holdings in it now. So I moved to about a half and half portfolio structure. So this is the way this shakes out. We were just shy of making that $100,000 mark back in the portfolio. So which is fine. But we're holding on to a couple large positions, 100 share position in BMY and 300 position in AT&T. The Hyliion position obviously is the dominant position. I disclosed to you guys last week that the 10.5s rolled off, and I was awarded those premiums as those expired worthless, which was great. I rewrote some new contracts this week as well for $9 and $10 respectively. I was able to write those contracts with some relative ease because the stock is seemingly finding some really, really interesting support at $10. So at any time it kind of dips below that 1080, 1090 area, it tends to jump a little bit. It closed right there, and that was part of my strategic portfolio positioning today, is to go ahead and put some cash to the side and monitor that bigger position a little bit, add a little bit of buffer. I was happy to do so right here, the market up 300. It was a good time to take some profits. And, I think there's other systemic risks in the stock market. Do I think the stock market is crashing next week? I don't know. So I'm the only YouTuber that comes on board and says, I'm not one to forecast that type of activity. But for what it's worth, this is where we're at here. Some pretty big liquidations on the side here. So once the dust settles on Monday, I will reevaluate and we'll monitor the stock market. My work is not done at all. But this is the taxable brokerage account. We are up again, like I disclosed, week over week here. And we'll kick over to Roth IRA number one. This again was up as well. Some heavy liquidations in here to put me at about, it was about 70-30, I guess, about 60, about 60-27. Yep. So some pretty good stuff. The difference here between the digital cash that I have is cash put aside, liquidated house money, cash that's been put aside from liquidated stock positions that are held in the money market account. Okay. So there's a difference between holding $10,000 stacks in a safe at your home. Okay. I'd really like to differentiate between those two forms of cash that I talk about because I get crap all the time. Ryan, you hold too much cash, you, this and that, you, this and that, and I know best what's for you. The fact of the matter is, I invest the way I invest because I'm due a pension upon retirement. Okay, that's a big driver between why I do what I do. If I needed to rely on my investment wealth into the future, I would be a lot less active than I am in this particular account. So I can take strategic stabs at this and try to accelerate my wealth in a certain percentage of my portfolio. And this is just indicative of where we are on this Friday live stream, what I did today. That could change next Friday, right? It could. But you guys know that for about a couple months, I was coming on to the live stream and saying, I didn't do anything. I didn't see anything. I'm good. I didn't see anything. But today it kind of came full circle for me to go ahead and put some cash to the side. And that's exactly what we did there. Nothing really to highlight here. Nothing of real interest or note. Wanted to liquidate some industrials. Some of the names to note, 3M right here. I've owned that for a long, long time. I had it in deep water for a long, long time. It became profitable and it actually became overvalued within the last 6 months or so. Okay. So 3M was one of those that we went ahead and took the liquidation on. And there was strategic reasons why I kept most everything else in this portfolio the way that I did and kept it intact. And Roth IRA 2, just up over 117. This spark line again was up. All of the accounts were up. There was not one that was down at all. So that 3,200 was an aggregate across all the accounts that I have in the total comprehensive portfolio made up of multiple accounts. Okay. Nothing really too crazy here to talk about. I did take profits in Facebook. That could be a problem. I'm going to monitor it and see if I can't get a better entry into the stock. I've owned it before. I've made money every single time with Facebook, and I'll do it again. I will not live this life and not ever own Facebook again. But at the current moment, I did take I was up nicely in Facebook. I bought it on the dip at 250-ish. It went down and I picked it up right there. And here just over 300, it was worth taking a strategic shot at. But we've got some good cash put to the side. I'm excited about this. I'd like to monitor the market and see if we can't get a little shake up here. I do think with forbearance rolling off, I think that's an issue. I think with real estate prices through the roof, I think that's an issue. I think with interest rates moving higher, I think that's an issue. I don't know where we are with the national debt now. I guess everybody stopped tracking it. And I guess the entire world doesn't think it's a big deal, except for me. And I think if I'm around 30 trillion, is that about right? Right? 30 trillion. That's a bit concerning, right? And, I'd be all about the Democratic proposals to roll out some infrastructure talk, but when the bill is $2 trillion, right? And there's only a certain percentage of that goes toward infrastructure. Those are some problematic proposals, and I just don't understand why we can't figure it out. Like, I love spending money, and I love spending money on things like infrastructure, healthcare, things that benefit people. I get it, right? But when there's too much waste, I can't get behind it. Okay, so some of my interesting systemic ideas about some macroeconomic things that I see going on from a retail perspective. And chances are I could be absolutely dead wrong. The scary part about it is I could be absolutely right. And I do collectively put a lot of power still in the hands of the little people of this particular country. That's the truth. Okay. The next is the M1 Finance. It did breach that 15 mark. And you guys can remember when I started this as a testimonial to get to that first $10,000, man. I'm really proud of this project. This is pretty cool. This is an attempt to try to keep some of the, at least the one income stream in YouTube really channeled so you guys can understand where the investing success comes from and where the YouTube success comes from. And we can keep them a little bit on their own, in their own swim lane. Because what irritates me the most is when people come on and they talk about how badass they are as an investor, which I don't think exists anyway. But especially when you come on and because of your YouTube success, you muddle the two together and you want people to buy into you got all that because you're an incredible investor. And I think it's sleight of hand. I think it's misleading, and I think it's downright dishonest. So this is a lot of where this project comes from, is one of the income stream veins. This one as well is up a couple $100. I don't know how 69 holdings of such small amount in each holdings renders a $300 appreciation week over week. But for you guys that are new investors out there that are seeing how I wealth build in the capacity that I do, in somewhat of an experimental nature that I do, yeah, right? Now you can appreciate and relate with, there is no perfect way of investing, but you can honestly say that this works. It doesn't work all the time, but it does work. And there's little aspects of my portfolio that I really foot stomp a lot. And that's the passive aspect that works the majority of the time. Okay. With my active profile and my stock trading, right? 16 out of 16, I traded for a profit. Okay. And you might think, wow, that's incredible, Ryan. You're a great investor. It doesn't mean that. The results are still, the verdict is still out. Okay. If all of the stocks that I sold today go up on Monday, then that's actually 16 positions that I lost out on. So I'm actually looking at those stocks and monitoring them from a channeling perspective, earmarked them as being somewhat overvalued when I liquidated the positions. Some were portfolio moves, some were initiatives to put more buffer in the portfolio and really buffer that aggressive position that I have. Because if and when that aggressive position does turn around, which I believe that it will, but I don't believe that's going to happen in the short term, maybe even not the medium term. I want to monitor this market, and I want to have an opportunity to put some real stacks to work if the market starts to go against investors that were over levered to the market at these levels. Okay, it's just my thought. Okay. The last thing I'd like you guys not to do is to go out and just start liquidating stuff. But these are those times that I kind of earmark, and everybody's talking about, okay, well, I guess the market's just going to continue to go up forever. I was on the live stream, rather lively live stream last week with the gents. It was very enjoyable for me. It was fun, mix it up a little bit. I get to take off my gloves a little more in that live stream. It's a little different audience than mine, but we were kind of talking about this very aspect of kind of where we are in investing, and whether or not the market's just going to continue on this upswing. It could very well do just that, and I'll be positioned to profit from that. My strategic positions, passive investing, like this, They don't move, and this is up $1,200 week over week, right? So we're a little just shy of $700 of meeting that big $50,000 threshold. That's one of the big ones, because the next one is six figures. That's a nice threshold to meet 50,000 in this portfolio. Just putting dollars over dollars to work that I really have not missed at all. Okay, so very cool stuff. All right, we'll jump into the options just a bit. The Hylions were basically just a reset of the floor at 9 and 10, respectively. I think I've got about 5 contracts or so. I think about 6. I think 6 contracts. I think one I have for 3 at $9, and the other 3 I have set at 10, expiring out about a month. I write those about 30 days. That's kind of a general rule of thumb for me, is I'll go ahead and write those cash secured puts out 30 days. If the shares get into that critical area, which man alive, if the charts tell me anything, it could be establishing a base here, but who knows with this stock. It's very, very interesting, man. The further down it goes, the further the disconnect between what this company is doing and what the stock price reflects. So who's to say what it's anybody's guess as to where it goes. My call is such that this is putting in somewhat of a base here. That's my bullish thesis. I could come up with all kinds of bearish thesis as well on the speculative name, but man alive, if I were a betting man, I would say that the bottom or the floor is probably in. If not, we're very close to it being just that here in it. But just in case it dips to that critical level, I want to make sure that I'm picking up more shares at those levels, because I don't really want to buy it here. My positions are good. I'm satisfied with where I sit. All right. And the total overall portfolio just over 20 away from the half. And I don't know if we'll get there. I really do need some help from that position. I mean, one $5 move in the stock and I'm there. Easy, right? I'll blow right through it. One $5 move and I'll blow right through it. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. That's just how it shook out as of today's live stream. And so to provide you guys with the transparency on where we are and how the portfolios collectively are performing, great. Now, you guys do understand, please, this total portfolio value does include that the one M1 finance account, okay, with the one income stream. It's only about a $15,000 bill, but for the sake of clarity, I'll disclose that to you guys now. But it got a lot of comments in the gallery, man, for sure. I've allowed everybody to kind of kick in here and get themselves comfortable. Fantastic. Let me get this off of here. But I will welcome you guys. We'll do the intro real quick. I got to do it, man. I know some people wait for it because it's pretty cool. I enjoy it myself. And then we'll get into some of the channel announcements, and then we'll talk a little bit about my philosophy, as I do have some notes tonight to go over on why retail investors really do they fail at investing a lot. As a matter of fact, a lot of people fail, even rich people out there, man. It doesn't discriminate. So we'll get into that just shortly after the intro. Fantastic, guys. Really appreciate everything, man. I had Francisco pop in here right before. Again, I don't mean to, offend anybody. That's not really my purpose at all. My purpose is really to just maybe stimulate the possibilities out there, because when I talked about that audience being that audience that's the toughest to win over, I mean that. I've met a lot of very, very reputable families in this country, and the last thing that they're going to do is come to YouTube for their social media opportunity, or to seek motivation, or even to seek, dare I say, investing ideas. Okay, my stuff's legit. No doubt about it. You got to get over some of those barriers about the delivery to entry. If YouTube bothers you, look me up, DM me. I've had a few people do just that. Okay. Ask me your questions in private. If that's too much for you, then I feel like I'm doing everything I can possibly do to roll out the opportunity, but don't come to me later on and say, "Hey, I'm ready now," when I've been providing this opportunity over the last 4 and 5 years. Okay, because I do, man. I watch other YouTube channels, and some of them are really, really entertaining. Some of the bigger channels, they're very, very entertaining. I just sometimes question what the benefit for the end user is by watching some of that. Okay, and I'll leave that question to you guys, but I think the important part is for you guys to understand that there's all kinds of opportunities. I put myself out there for 60 minutes every Friday. You can come in, you can drop your comments in and say hello. Let me know how your progress is going. Let me know where you come from, what type of investor you are, how the week has gone for you. I think it's important to revolve around this topic, and this is just the time to go ahead and do that. All right. Mr. Bob's in the house. He says, "Good evening, all." It's fantastic. It's great to see you, my friend. Fantastic. And all good, I think, was first in here. Absolutely. It's great to see you. Wouldn't be the same without you. You come in here every single Friday to support the message. I really appreciate you and hope all is well down there in the great state of Texas. It's fantastic. I'm feeling super, super good, man, after my vacation. You feel really good when you're actually maybe ready to throw in the towel on the vacation and get back to work a little bit. I'm kind of there. I'm ready. I take a big test in a couple of weeks, and I'm looking to engage in my self study to get ready for that. So, seeking out options, man. That's what it's all about. All right. Let me scroll down here, guys. If you have questions, man, you want to leave them in here, man, for sure. I'm kind of going on a Q&A session tonight. Mr. Christopher Blaine's in the house. Fantastic. And Proper 19 as well, man. It's the biggest tip I've ever received on the channel. Again, I'm going to find a way to repay the Proper 19 for the kind contribution to the channel. It's freaking awesome, man. It's great stuff. Just a couple announcements on the channel. I'll be dropping the price to the Viper group for the summer special. I'm not sure what the duration of that will be, but it will drop to $59.99. And that's for an annual membership. You can pay per month. So that drops it below $5 per month on the sale. So well worth it. The value is well north of the full price. I make sure and provide more value than what you're putting in. But if it's something to where you think you might need some individual help, please do so. If you also want to contribute to the channel in other ways, I do have gift certificates out there as well. If you wanted to sponsor somebody, perhaps maybe a young person who you want to bring on to the message, bring them on. That's awesome. What a great gift. All of the things that we justify in this life wasting money on, and a $50 gift certificate for somebody to come on and buy a private group and get engaged and be able to participate in the conversations that we have and get to listen to the audio casts that I drop pretty frequently in that group, because it's just a push of a button away from me. And I'll get a whim of motivation and I'll drop that in the group. And we've got a really good thing going, man. It's very open. And we help a lot of different people from a lot of different income, a lot of different places in life. There's some folks that are maybe going to enter into or preparing to enter into retirement, and there's also some young folks as well in there. So across the spectrum, it never ceases to amaze me where the vein of motivation comes. I know where it comes from. It's internal. But if there's something that you feel like you want to seek out on the channel, we have to make sure that we're providing those opportunities. And thank you for those that are seeking out those opportunities and finding value in them. Okay. The podcast, I dropped a couple this week. The last one I dropped was along the same lines as this theme: why most retail investors will fail at investing. You want to catch that as well. Another way to support the channel is to become subscribed to Anchor. I have one subscriber who's loyal and does it to help me. And I think that's great. But for the most part, the podcast is kind of on life support as far as financial goes. And that's totally fine too. I'll continue to do that project because I like doing it. I really do. But as far as like getting rich on social media, I'm not really sure if I understand. Like maybe I'm not doing it right. The get rich part, I know I'm not doing right. I can tell you that. Um, because we've gone for a while now. We haven't had a new member for the group for a couple months, which has really surprised me, but not really. I think this is the time of the year that kind of goes into a bit of a swoon period with regard to investing and investing awareness. And people are spending more time outside and by the pool, rightfully so, man. That's where I'm going to be. So it's always been just one of those times of the years that are a little bit light on social media involvement and engagement. But coming into the fall and into this 2021 season, for the holiday season, it will pick up again. It's the same thing every year. All right. If you guys have questions, man, drop them in the thread because I am rolling through right now. Here's some of the discussion we had before. This was my first job, landscape. Yeah, I was 13 years old, man. We worked for a landscape depot, and I did some horrendous stuff, man. Clearing brush from underbrush from clearings, trees, laying sod. Yep, planting trees, picking weeds. Not for the faint of heart, man. One of my passions now is hardscape. I love it. You give me the right tools, and I'm pretty good at it. But yeah, just reflecting on where we all come from. I dug ditches for $1.25. Pretty cool stuff, man. I'm cruising down the thread here, guys, and I make sure and get to everybody. I almost got 100 people in the live stream. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys making your way in here. What can I do for you? I make my minutes available to you guys. When this live stream shuts down, man, it's down. But you're going to make sure and take advantage of your time. I do occasionally drop a link. I will drop one now into the gallery. And there it is. It's going in there right now. If you guys want to jump on the live stream with me, we can open it up. Like I said, we're kind of in one of those lull periods a little bit on investing savvy and awareness. Maybe you want to come on and talk to me and, I don't know, say thanks or you're terrible. Feel free. I've invited a lot of people that don't like my message. And I think some of the most valuable conversation could come out of that. I would love to have a constructively critical conversation on the channel, because certainly if there are people out there that don't appreciate my message, which there are some people that don't, for some, maybe some valid reasons, I'm not really sure, but for the most part, I can discern that unfortunately, some of it comes out of jealousy. And I'm not really sure I understand that at all. I do have some merchandise on the channel for sale. I don't make any money off of that at all. So I think a lot of people misconstrue, people and how lucrative social media is. Look, man, like Proper 19 said, I've been doing this a long time. And there's really no reason to tip somebody $100. But I don't know what type of influence I've had. I put the message out there strong, like I'm giving a concert or a motivational speech to an auditorium every single Friday. That's the way I throw down, and I don't know how many people I'm influencing. I don't know unless you come in and say, "Hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it," which a lot of people do, and I really appreciate that for sure. All right, just had a ton of comments pop in. I have a bunch of channel creators pop in right at the bottom. So I'm going to cruise up here and try to find my spot. Give some proper acknowledgments here, man. Very cool. Mr. Alan Kane's in the house. Very cool. Bellevande double wood tonight. Oil stocks looking good right now. Yeah, so treat them. Fantastic. That was one of the areas where I actually retained the portfolio. I think the churn and energy. I think I had a little misstep in my assessment of financials. I think value investing has run, and I think it's probably on the totter rather than the teeter, aspect. What I mean by that is maybe you don't want to just rush out and jump into financials right here. I think energy's got a long way to run, and I'm cool with that. I really am. I've got my Royal Dutch Shell and my Exxon Mobil and Chevron still intact. Those are my larger positions, as well as in the dividend portfolio, my energy slice, which you guys are welcome to kick in there and take a look at what I've got. Hell, it'd take you 5 minutes to review my entire portfolio. They are affiliate links. Okay. So that's another way of paying back the channel. Furthermore, if you wanted to do the M1 Finance experience with me, we could build a portfolio together. It's not a problem. You'll find that at independentinvestorgroup.com. Independentinvestorgroup.com. That's my Shopify site. If you kick over there, you're going to find all kinds of products in there, and that's where the half price is going to come. So on the monthly Viper group, that's going to drop down to half price for maybe a couple months here. I'm not really sure yet. But also the M1 Finance experience will drop to $25. There is a military discount, a first responder type of discount. If you have any questions about your applicability to that, let me know, because it shakes out to a couple bucks, which quite frankly falls to about the donation level, to be honest with you, for the service that you get. Okay. But I agree with that, Treatum. I think oil's looking good. I'm happy to be where I'm at. There was no liquidation in oil today for me, just in some other stuff. All right. Thanks for sharing the message. Thoughts on concentration in a portfolio over diversification? Sure. As long as you can handle the volatility psychologically. This is a good one. I think by any metrics, I think a lot of people would look at my strategy and say, especially the M1 portfolio strategy. Here's the thing. Like, you can say 69 holdings is too much in that one portfolio. Okay. I think we could all agree and say, yeah, that's a little much, Ryan. I kind of beg to differ. And here's the thing. With my passive approach in the sector portfolio, that's got exposure to thousands of stocks passively using the power of ETFs, right? And it's done quite well. What's also done quite well is the dividend portfolio. I don't. $300 is an awesome way of building that out. For me, it allows me to get exposure to those companies that I don't really want to own in anywhere else. I don't want to own them in the Roth. Valero is a perfect, like Marathon Petro, Phillips 66 in energy. Okay. There's some stuff in healthcare. United Health is a perfect example. Thermo Fisher Scientific. These are great companies that I want exposure to. In staples, Costco leads that staple slice. It's great to have a couple $100 in there and have some exposure to those stocks that I know are really, really good companies and they do really, really well. But the concentration idea, I don't like. I know there's a lot of very, very reputable. Peter Lynch is the one that says, look, put your horses in your biggest 10. You're better for it. I don't agree with that. I don't. Mathematically, I just don't agree with the idea that you can take 10 stocks and somehow not acknowledge the lack of diversification and the overemphasis in your ability to pick those 10 winners over the long term, as opposed to taking the same amount of money and putting those into, let's say, 100 stocks. If the two portfolios perform the same at 8% at the same dollar amount, then the amount rendered is exactly the same, right? The money that's rendered doesn't change. However, I contend that the risk is so much greater on the 10 stock portfolio than it is on the diversified 100 stock portfolio. Now, in that example, I don't really have any good examples of a 10 stock portfolio that's very, very heavy weighted. Okay. The biggest 10 stock portfolio that I've ever had is the aggressive growth portfolio, which only has about $10,000. Right. So my larger portfolios have segments of different exposure in them. Okay. In strategic ways. Right. So my passive base and my TSP helps lend itself to larger positions in some of those gems of the stock market. And collectively, I think I've pieced together a pretty good portfolio. And if you look at it um, individually and look at why I do certain things the way that I do it, it can make a little bit more sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense for you, which is great. If you're coming to that rationale, you're coming to a better place and you'll get a hell of a lot more out of my message anyway. If you come to my message and you're like, dang, this guy's all over the place. No, I'm not. My results speak for themselves. I kill it. So, and I don't mean to sound like that. I don't. But with regard to investing, I'm pretty good at taking a little bit of money and making a lot out of it. Okay. And that skill seems to escape a lot of people for reasons that are avoidable. It's not for lack of effort. It's for lack of personal ability. I think arrogance sometimes does get in the way, and even I suffer from this. Right, I want to have a certain percentage of my portfolio that's allocated to my arrogant strategy. That I really can pace the market. The difference between me and a lot of people is I have and can. It's just I don't come onto YouTube and be like, look at me, I'm whoop-de-doo, I'm something special. I'm not. I work very very hard at that specific active aspect of the portfolio. The passive aspect, I don't work hard at all. It's easy. Being a passive investor is a piece of cake. It takes no effort. Okay. Entering into a 401k, if that's all you have and you understand what it is that you have, that can be enough for a lot of investors out there. Maybe you get a company match. Maybe you're just coming to the independent investor channel and you're one of those very, very skeptical people that are like, I've heard about this guy. I'm going to go check him out. Right. You sit through my message, maybe I say something that maybe interests or perk your curiosity a little bit. You know, the idea to own some single stock gems of the stock market. Maybe you're sitting on a few $100,000 of cash and you just don't know where to deploy that. Yeah, there's some strategic avenues out there. And if you have some ideas about those, run those by somebody like myself, run those by somebody like there's many people in this thread that are more than capable at kind of taking in those ideas and saying, interesting. Yeah, that can kind of work. I can kind of see your philosophy. Why are you doing it? Okay. It's not because somebody else told you to do it. It's like, why are you doing this? Here's kind of what I'm thinking. I've got this over here. I've got this over here. And I think this piece in the middle can kind of supplement these two existing outliers out here. And just add a different layer to the portfolio. I'm ready. I've been a 401k investor for a long time. I've got a Roth IRA for myself and my spouse. I want to have I want to layer up and see what this brokerage opportunity is. All right. I'm a blue collar worker. I have 3 brokerage accounts. Knock yourself out. It's fantastic. Right. But yeah, the whole idea is to look at the strategic angle, I think, in the portfolio. That's key. That's a hell of a question, man. Thank you for that. And I hope you don't mind my long-winded answer, but I could probably do a podcast on that very topic. It's a good one. Thank you very much. Eric says a little early, eh? Yeah, I'm a little early. I am. I'm starting at 8:45 now, a little bit, just in case Jason pops on. If he doesn't, no big deal. If he does, great. I can roll with that and get some of the portfolio reviews out because I do think that's somewhat of an entertaining type of pulse in, see how the independent investor channel's doing. For those of you guys that don't like my channel, maybe you can tune in and see when I fall on my face and lose it all because investing is gambling. I don't know. Don't hold your breath. That won't happen. But, when the stock market does end up taking a hiccup and head south a little bit, it'll be interesting to track that, because I take these gains with a grain of salt. I really do. I don't get ahead of myself. It can adjust $2,500 next week easy. And I'm actually hoping that it does, right? I just kind of took a shot here at maybe thinking that this kind of got a little ahead of itself in the short term. So we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. It's no big deal. And Lydia's in the house. Great to see you. I appreciated your thread last week. I know you were hating on me because I'm not as euphoric about Tesla. It's all right. I come from a different perspective. I was hoping you'd say, hey, we could take our Tacomas up in the snow and have a little competition 4-wheel drive with the Teslas of the world, right? It was good, healthy discussion. I actually watched the live stream just yesterday, back again. And there were some good nuggets in there for sure. I think there was some frustration in the gallery a little bit, but I think you're missing the point if you don't understand the purpose of that. The purpose of that really is to make us better investors. And I think the topics were prudent. I think anybody could have learned a little bit from that banter. I think it was good. I thought it was good. It's great to see you, though. Fantastic. Oh man, I got a ton of comments in here. I'm gonna try to start cherry picking these a little bit, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to my lesson. 9:35. All right. Bob says he sold a lot. Awesome. Sitting on cash is good enough for Warren Buffett. It's good enough for me. Um, I guess so. I I typically like to shy away from the whole Warren Buffett discussion just for this reason. I would say that if you told me, "Hey, I'm putting the cash because it's right for Bob Wright," I would say, "You're right, Bob Wright. That makes sense to me." And it's right for me at this particular juncture as well, right? I think we lose track of that sometimes. And I do understand your point. I really do. Um, I just think by any metrics, and I know there's going to be people again that really disagree. They don't like when I come on and I talk like this, but I've been doing this way, way too long, and I've never ever seen the market this euphoric. It's expected to go up every single day. It does go up every day. People are investing as if it's going to go up every day. People start to invest like it's never going to be going down. People start to take bets that they would have never ever taken in a much more volatile market, right? But they seem to get lulled to sleep by the action of the stock market, and that's usually the time where it really starts to shock. And the thing about it is, it's not that initial shock that gets people's attention. It's the exacerbated aftershock that really shocks people and puts people on notice. The VIX spikes. The VIX is below 17 right now, which is like a sleeping bear. It's like hibernating. And when the VIX is woken up, it really does spike quickly. Will that happen? I don't know. I really don't. But I'll live to fight another day. I'll continue to monitor the market. I'm a little more happy with digressing a little bit on the market and put a little bit of cash to the side. That's what we did. All right. Oh, fantastic. I'm up to 1,950 shares highly. I'm very excited about my position. There's a lot to be excited. The exciting news this week was the 10 board formation, some of the major players, Anheuser-Busch being one of them. I'm very excited. Like, if you look at it from my perspective, I'm a quality management guy. So for them to have the confidence to put their product out there as finalized as they have it with regard to the technology, they're going to have some incredible constructive feedback to say, look, as customers, here's what we want. Can you make this happen? That's invaluable. And they're going to fine tune the product down to where they've got about as perfect a product as they can possibly gin up. They're going to have to put it on the road for a few months and really put it into the hands of these drivers and really extrapolate that feedback loop into Hyliion to start to really internalize. If you guys haven't checked out their website, you're missing out. They've totally revamped it. It's completely different. Hyliion.com will take you 2 minutes to at least wet your whistle. If you get there and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me, awesome. Go find something else to do. But to come on here and understand a little bit more about this company and what they're doing. I've seen this roll out before, man. I'm in the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 engine space. And what ended up happening is when those emissions control regulations were rolled out, businesses were like, huh, great, more regulations. This sucks. Until the government stepped in and said, hey, we'll give you a free engine. And then everybody was like, hey, this doesn't suck so much. I can get a tier 2 engine that's a Cummins diesel that's cleaner for the environment. I'm not such a green guy, but I'm on board. I'm on board. Yeah, sign me up for that. Which I actually think we're 2 shakes away from that very incentive. And I'm not saying that the incentive in and of itself can't be enough to stand on its own for these companies, but the momentum push is there. Companies want to do this. They're not going to sacrifice power, they're not going to sacrifice payload, and they're not going to sacrifice distance. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. They're also not going to remanufacture their OEM with regard to the trailers that they've been or the chassis that they've been ordering for decades. They're not going to do that. Okay. So the idea here is that Hyliion fine tunes this product enough to where they can actually scale it up and put it into mass production, and that they can know that the numbers before they're going out there has been tried and true across a lot of different geographic applications, cold, hot, right? A lot of different driver tendencies, right? Which is human element. Okay. The major cause of accidents in any industry is human error. Okay. So it's going to be super important to get a nice feedback loop on all this stuff. And then the equipment itself, right? Is it as durable as they say? Is it going to stand the test of time? What happens in the case of a down vehicle on the side of the road? How accessible is CNG and RNG going to be at these 700 ANG stations, right? So really, when these problems start to flow in, they can start to look at this and say, okay, we've got a contingency for this. We've got a contingency for that. And they can start working through those logistics things. And it sounds like with the cooperation of these fleets that represent over 100,000 trucks, that's within their networks. That's within their networks. Okay. You don't think that Anheuser-Busch can pick up the phone and has access to all the rest of the networks out there? It's pretty exciting stuff. If you weren't going to be a stock owner in the company, it's at least intriguing enough to read about with regard to where they're going with the technology, how they've separated this ERX council from the OEMs. The OEMs are also listed on the website. I'm not a salesman for Hyliion. I will disclose that I am a share owner in the company. I would love to interview Thomas Healy because, quite frankly, all the questions that I get on that are asked of Thomas Healy are really surface level questions, and I kind of cringe a little bit sometimes because I think the short seller reports that come out and they want to discuss what's going on with Hyliion, they don't really touch on the things that I just touched on with you guys. Okay. And I think those are the important pieces. Okay. They don't have revenue. They don't have revenue. They don't have revenue. Well, they do. They do have revenue. Okay. They are making money. They're pre-revenue on the books, right? That's fine. We knew that that was the case. It'd be fun to get this first report and see where they are on pace for the 2021 target with the hybrid system. Last week, that was the news. This week, it was all about the ERX Council. So all good things. And it's really cool. I've never seen such disconnect between a company that wants to be so heavily scrutinized in the industry, but the stock price really is disconnected from the good things that are going on at the company. And what'll end up happening is, I've seen this before. Some of the folks were comparing it to Neo. I agree. That's a fair comparison in that the rubber band effect, it can only stretch so far. What'll end up happening is it'll end up snapping, because right now it's really, really consolidating, and it's consolidating very, very tight. And we'll see what happens. I'm very excited about my position as well. It'd be fun to watch, and drinks are on me, I guess, someday. I'll be the same, Ryan. When this thing does what it is that I expect it to do. I do spend a lot of my time on this position, which is some of the reason why I kind of took some of the strategic profit taking that I did, because I'm fascinated by covering this story. I really am. Has something to do, yes, that I'm a stock owner in the company, but I've never been so excited about the prospects of cleaning the environment and doing so by going after the number one polluter on this earth. I think it's great. I think it's a great thing to get behind. And I think California, Lydia can appreciate that California is leading the charge here. 2030, we're going to be emissions free here in California. That's going to be a law. And I think some of these companies are kind of scrambling a little bit to say, heck, what are my options here? Do I honestly need to buy a brand new redesigned, or is there another solution? Hyliion's the only one that has that other solution out there. Do your homework. You'll understand exactly what I mean. All right. I'm going to cruise down here. Prepper 19, Rip View. All right. Fantastic. I got Christian in the house. Fantastic. Great to see you, Christian. Awesome. Great to have you. See how much time. See, I've only got 15 minutes left, man, and I come on early now, and I didn't even have time to get to all my lesson. I got hey Kenny, how are you? Pelletier? Pelletier? Fantastic. It's great to have you, my friend. I'd like to know where you're hailing from. It's awesome. It's great to have you on the live stream tonight, man. Awesome. Get a few acknowledgments here. Nice proper. I'm 4,000 highly on shares. That's a little sizable position for sure. Let them laugh now. Long-term conviction intact. Yeah, long term, man, is crazy. Even on the conservative estimate side, and I certainly don't want to make the entire live stream about Hyliion, but this is your only opportunity to hear my unique perspective, and it's valuable. It's valuable. I think a lot of people are really missing the boat, even in this community. I do, and it's everything I can do. I'm trying to be fair because a lot of these folks are my friends, and it's hard sometimes when I say, "Hey, you need to look at this opportunity," and it just doesn't work out within the few months of time frame that maybe that money was earmarked for another project, and they end up getting on a project like this that doesn't work out right away. But yeah, this company's going to be scary good. I just hope that the feedback loop that they get and the fine tuning of this product makes it as possible as perfect as they can before they get it to mass scale and integration at the OEM line. It's basically a hybrid hub of the OEM that they just transfer the chassis over there. They install the system, it goes out, and the truck gets built normally before it gets shipped to the customer. So I'm going to bring on a guest real quick, man. Gustav, you got me okay, man?
Oh, hello. Is it live?
Yeah, it's live. I didn't mean to throw you on there that quick. I saw you pop in there earlier, man, but I wanted to bring you on and say hi.
Oh, hello. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here, but I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
What, what do you
No,
think about the Swedish markets? Do you know anything about the Swedish stock market?
I would defer to your expertise in that, my friend. I would consider myself very in tune with the US markets, but Swedish markets, not so much. However, I will say, my wife is from Czech Republic, and Sweden is on my bucket list to visit. So if it's all the same to you, my friend, I would love to come over and visit your beautiful country, if you don't mind.
Oh, you should. You really should. Do you invest only in America, or do you invest in Canada or Mexico, or?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of my justification. I love investing abroad, but my lack of knowledge of emerging markets and European markets or specific markets, Asian markets, really hampers my ability to invest single stock. So I go more passive ETF investing to try to globally diversify the portfolio. But I would say, this is the beauty of social media is we can bring people together, and you can share some of your insights if you'd like to. If you can, the floor is yours.
I'm investing in mainly in Sweden, but Sweden is such a small market. It's only but
Mm,
right 0.5% of the world market. But we have a problem here in Sweden that investing outside Scandinavia or the United States, it's extremely expensive. Um,
yeah,
it's very easy and financially beneficial to invest in Sweden. So I have a hard time investing in American companies or Chinese companies, or I just don't know how to mix my portfolio because I am 60 or 70% invested in Sweden and the rest in the United States. Uh, what's your take on investing in such a small market? Is it a massive risk or?
I would just defer and say this. In your discussions with your circles there in Sweden, what is your success rate? In other words, You can invest to invest, but does it render some wealth? That's why you invest, right? To generate some wealth. So I don't really care if it's such a small market. Sweden is a strong market, right? So if you're getting involved in companies that are rendering some bottom dollar profit, then it can work for you just fine. I guess, does it work for the masses? Because here in the US, our masses, for the most part, are involved with US markets through our 401k. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's our domestic, like you work for a job, and part of your benefits package is to have some level of exposure to US and foreign markets,
Right,
right?
right.
So I guess my question to you would be, in your discussion with family, friends, acquaintances, business associates. I mean, what is your guys' consensus about, what track you're on for financial freedom into your future?
Well, we are so heavily Americanized here in Sweden, so we
That's true. Yeah.
we are extremely Americanized. It's the Swedish market and the American market. Everything we talk about is the American market. It's the American president or American this, American that. But there's so much more to the stock market in the world than just the United
Yes.
States. There's Great Britain is it's actually a large country, but you
Yeah.
never hear about Great Britain at all. But what's your take on China? This notion that China will take over the world and be bigger than the United States and be the other superpower in the world.
I
What's your
think
take on it?
that's I think that's inevitable.
Oh, really?
I do.
You
I
think they
do.
will be the police of the world and they will dominate world trade and all that?
Economically, world trade, yes. For the sheer reason, here's my reason. They're more aggressive.
Oh, really, really?
Yeah.
But don't you think the Communist Party? Don't you think that's will hinder them from evolving into to the American market? I mean, they
You're a
have so
you're a
many.
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's a great question, and I will respond in this way. You're asking an American to respond on a they do what they do very, very well. Very well. And I try to be careful with my words. Would I ever want to be subject to that? Because the people suffer. The people in the United States do not suffer, right? We don't run a communist country here. Okay, we're stuck somewhere in between capitalism and somewhat of a few socialist veins, right?
Yeah,
Whereas our friends to the north in Canada are much more of a socialist vein. Okay.
like Sweden,
Um,
I guess.
yeah, and so for from an investment perspective, I know a lot of people that won't invest in China just because they choose not to invest in China. It doesn't have anything to do with my opinion about them being a world stage dominant player. Look where they've come in 20 years. I guess the scary question back to you rhetorically is, where are they going to be in 20 more years? And they'll do anything to get there. Whereas I think the United States, if I was going to say, is somewhat complacent in our application in maintaining a dominant exclusive period, right? And we've just gone from a regime change, which was all America first. Now we're in another administrative shift, which is what we do every 4 years now, in that we're going to be more supportive of the global economy. So, we'll see where that lends itself. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we end up in a place where we can all thrive and be part of a world economy. It's a little bit different when you're talking about Sweden US relations, because we've had such good relations over the last, century, right?
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
always been non-adversarial, which is great. But I tell you what, man, these conversations are super important. It's great for me to come on and say, I just don't know, but I think connections between different countries, I always try to acknowledge how important it is. And I always try to, extend that hand of gratitude and say, thank you for coming on. I mean, you're representing a whole different sovereign nation. Yeah, I hear what you're saying with the influence in Sweden.
yeah.
I,
It's
I,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I I
We
I
don't
don't know
we
how
are
you I
we don't even we have subtitles on Simpsons and Family Guy. It's all in English. It's stupid. The only thing we
yeah,
we dub is the anime or the children's animation.
I
Everything
know.
else is in American English. It's
I
always
know.
American English.
I
Yeah.
know. And and the same influences across Europe. It's different now, Italy 10 years ago was a different Italy than we have now. The Czech Republic, where my wife has come from, that's somewhat similar. Germany has been, somewhat mixed. So the European ability to retain some of that, multiple century old heritage has kind of become a little bit mixed. I don't know if you would agree with that. And I know I have a lot of Italian friends who are frustrated. They're like, we want to retain that. And then I don't know if it's the newer generation that is kind of embracing that change. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you.
No, but I like the Americanization, because everything we have in computers, or just the ability to speak English is beneficial. And I think this
Yeah.
stupid, Europe has always been um, at war with each other, and we hate the
Yes.
Norwegians or the Danes and defense
Yep.
and whatever. But I think the Americanization of the world is actually a good thing, um, because we've always been afraid of the Russians. The Russians has always been the enemy number one. So I love the Americanization. My English is really bad, but thank you for taking my call. I'm going to sleep now.
Oh, I don't blame you. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you so much,
Thank,
man.
thank you,
It's
and
a
have a good night.
You too, man. Go to bed, get some good rest.
Yeah,
Take
I will. I will.
it easy, my
Bye.
friend. Bye bye now. Wow, so super cool, man. What a great night of live streaming, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Those are some of the few veins of the channel that I really, really enjoy. Very, very important. I mean, I'm married to a European, but if you guys can take just a little page out of my playbook, it's super important to understand, man, that the opportunities here in the US are just different than those other opportunities abroad in different markets, etc. I'm not a player enough to where I can say that I have ultimate confidence. You would have to be a subject matter expert on that particular topic, but special treat for me to have some reps from the from another country. Come on, you mess with crypto at all? I want to. I do. I'm getting a little bit more interested in it. I think if I'm able to shake a little bit of house money out of I love your thumbnail, by the way, it's incredible. If I'm able to shake a little bit of profit out of this, some house money, I will be putting some money to work in predominantly Bitcoin. I'm not really sure if I understand the utility of Ethereum enough to justify putting my money in crypto, but those would be the only two that I would even look at, as I do think Bitcoin will probably be the dominant player in the space. Um, and yes, I am very, very interested in it. I'm just not in a position right now where crypto falls in a laundry list of shopping items that I want to buy when my speculative position turns out the way that I think that it will. And that'll take time. And priority number one is Hyliion right now. It's where I see the most opportunity for upside. Am I excited to buy Bitcoin at 60,000 a coin? Not really. Um, do I think it has utility? Do I think it has staying power? Absolutely. I've thought that for years. And I've never invested in cryptocurrency one. Never. And for those folks that have and they're finding success in it, I'm all about it. I'm an advocate. The bottom line is understand the risk that you're taking. I've had people say, hey, can I just take my entire investment and put it into Bitcoin? And those are serious questions. I'm not in that camp. Call me crazy. Could it make me a multimillionaire in a couple months? Yeah, yeah, maybe. But it could also break me. And, I really think people always want to just look at the positive half glass full type of perspective and say, there's no way that this can go any other way than the direction that I think it's going to go. And I think that's fairly arrogant, but I'm absolutely intrigued at the prospect. But it goes into a bucket of about five other things that I'm interested in buying when I see this through, because my undivided attention again is on my speculative aspect of the portfolio, and I won't deviate from that. So we got about a minute left, guys. I will go just a touch over tonight. I'm fairly certain that the gentlemen are going to kick on and do their live stream as they usually do. But I've got a pretty robust audience in here, and I don't think they would mind if they queued it up. I'm going to do about 5 or 10 minutes left, a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of an overlap. Lydia says 50% of the portfolio. You can do that. You know me, Lydia. You've known me a long time, and there's not going to be, I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't make sense for you. If you want my opinion, my perspective, I think that's a little rich. I do. Um, but if it accelerates your wealth, then it works for you. And you had made a comment last week where you said that when people ask you what to invest in, this is not what you're advising them on. This is not like, what do you invest in, Lydia? You're not saying just put all your money into Tesla. I think that's really responsible. I really do. So I think for you, great. I think just trying to sell somebody else on the idea is a little bit tougher. And I think it just, you got to do your homework. You got to understand the risk involved. And I think it could be very, very lucrative if the bull case plays out over the long term. But yeah, I mean, I wish you all the well. I hope you end up a millionaire. Think it'd be awesome. We need more self-made millionaires out there. You're not going to hear me say, "Hey, that's too much." No, I won't do that. I want that success. Just make sure that you're keeping a tight leash on that holding. I really do, because it's got some volatility for sure, and you know that. But here's I got out of Bitcoin at 133. See, the bottom line is money. You make a little dab. It's very, very cool. Well, baby powder is probably talking about J&J. I'd rather own the VIG instead of holding cash. Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. Keep in mind, too, again, hard cash is a little different than just deployable cash on the side. VIG is a good holding, man. High growth, very good stuff. Actually, I think that's the dividend appreciation, right? VIG? Yeah. VUG is growth. All right. Very cool. Let me cruise on through here. I really want to make sure and man, I really wish you guys would come in earlier with these questions. 75% concentration on Tesla. Said it and forget it. Good luck. I wish you all the best, man. I really do. I don't typically approach stock market investing that way. I'm invested in Tesla in a few different areas, but he says Hyliion has no revenues. That's true. I agree with you, Treatum. Absolutely. Yep. Just like Tesla for a long, long time. All right. We don't have pensions. Yeah. Neither do we. They're going away. I'm lucky in that regard. But I want everybody to understand it does drive my investment decisions. It doesn't mean don't invest if you don't have a pension. It should kind of it should impact how it is that you invest. All right. That guaranteed retirement pay is golden. It is. I appreciate that. It is. I am lucky. The question is, how much of a portfolio would I need to render a pension like that? And, my wife will get paid when I'm gone, which is more valuable to me than anything. Having to manage a portfolio after I'm gone, that's not something I want to leave to her. I don't. I'd rather have her just invested in the S&P 500 and call it a day. But this little piece right here is very important. And it drives a lot of the way I invest, a lot of the way I manage risk, a lot of the way I align my portfolio and always try to work from more of a defensive perspective. Whereas over the last 2, 3, 4 months, I've pretty much been on a fully invested offensive posture. And it's a little bit of a stretch past my risk tolerance, in all honesty. Okay. And good on me for coming on and admitting it. Right. So we're fine. All right. Social Security is not taxed, so don't worry about taxes. That is true. Very cool. Proper 19, Lydia. I love Tesla a lot, but Hyliion, in my opinion, will dominate in the long haul. I agree. I really like Tom's CEO. Yeah, the whole board is actually quite good. Tesla's do the best in the overall. Yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff that Tesla's doing. Aside from the cars that are really intriguing to me, their utility piece. I've read some interesting stuff on Tesla. Fascinating company, just fascinating. And I hope they do everything that they want to do and then some. It's just going to make for that much more of an exciting investing environment, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll have to see. All right. Very cool. 1,000 confirmed binding orders is revenue. Um, yeah, I don't know if I would call the 1,000 agility orders confirmed. The verbiage is very specific, and I have not looked at the contract. If it's on the SEC, I do apologize if it's on there and I missed it. I don't believe it is, but even in the corporate presentation, it says up to 1,000. Now, agility is on the board, yada yada, etc. I do think they're going to be a player. I do think that they will follow through with that, but I think for contractual purposes, they probably had it written that way to give them an out. Okay. In other words, if they see something that they don't like, then they can opt out and order nothing. Is my interpretation of it. Okay. It's looking very attractive to the trucking industry. The product has to perform. Okay. So lots of bear cases to be had. The real gold mine and sweet spot is in the new chassis that are rolled off the OEMs. That's the sweet spot. It seems to me to be a kind of it's an important moneymaker and a bridge to satisfy the sharks that are saying that Hyliion will never make any money, to install the hybrid system, but that's a pain in the ass. If you've ever retrofitted anything into an existing anything, you'll know that it's a pain in the ass, and it's about double the cost. So they can do the same V2 hybrid system off the OEM for half the price because there's no obstruction to the chassis. It's right there ready to rock. They can bolt it on. There's no removal of any existing machinery, and they can put it on there. So I agree. I think it's attractive. I'd like to see some more results. I'm happy with what we've got thus far, and you know that's just kind of where we are. All right, going a little long term in bonus time tonight, guys. So very very cool. I know the chaps won't care. I very rarely do this. I'm a couple minutes over, but look to close it down pretty quick. But I do just want to get my specific shout outs to some people here. Rebecca in the house, thank you for letting me visit your beautiful, beautiful state. I will be settling there someday. North Carolina's legit. It's legit, baby. It's so nice. Yeah, our government needs to stop playing behind smoke and make a commitment to do individual bills for all proposals. Yeah, I agree. Pretty frustrating. A lot of blah, 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 and it's too bad. I think there's some short selling pressure. I try to stay away from that line of dialogue. But if you think that the stock market is not manipulated in some small or large degree, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. If you don't like being involved in somewhat of heavy buying or just putting another $1 million order on a stock to just kind of depress it, that's what was going on with Tesla for a long, long time. If you guys remembered the evolution of the shorts with Tesla that eventually got burned. They got burned really bad. Yeah, they were battling Elon for a long, long time on that. It was pretty fun to watch. Very cool. We're all in the same boat here, unless we are not. Fantastic. You guys have a great discussion here going on, man. It's very cool. I'll actually review these comments. Cherry pick this one. Hyliion carries through with 75% of their projections. I see the returns being greater than that of Tesla in the midterm. Wow. Yeah, I did my conservative estimates at 25% of potential. 25% puts it at 30 billion, which puts the stock price at 300. So it's very, very simple math, guys. Very, very simple. If you'd like to look at what's going on right now and make your determination, by all means, do that. But if you're looking at the future prospects of the company, those are the conservative estimates that you need to look at. In what I know Kyle doesn't like addressable market, but you do in fact need to understand who's going to buy your widgets. All right. Very cool. And I'm not sure if Kyle's still in here, still over just a little bit. Yeah, I think he's in a different time zone, but I've got too many people in here that have questions. So I'm going to try to stay with it tonight and get you guys your questions. I don't mind going over. I'm on break. I'm kind of new to investing, but I noticed when I have some stocks for a while that let you vote on different things for the company, do investors mostly vote on issues within the company? To be honest with you, Trayvon, thank you. That's a hell of a question. I appreciate you coming on and taking your time to ask. No, I don't typically vote. I get stuff all the time. M1 Finance is really good about plugging investors into the email. It just gives you the option to vote. They have to do that by law, but I typically don't spend my time on that. And if there are people here that actually do play into that, then please speak up. But I'm not one of those investors, so I don't spend my time voting with the shareholders when shareholder notices come out. Okay, very cool. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone also seems to start bashing down a stock. Takes more conviction to keep holding and buying. Yeah, I think some of that's going on right now, for sure. Lively live stream. That's an understatement. I thought it was pretty controlled tonight, actually. I watched last week's again that only got 600 views, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Tonight was a little more controlled. I just feel um, a little bit more calm and at peace. But I don't miss these live streams. I have to open it up and allow people the opportunity to make their way on. So you guys are welcome to kick over. I know the passive income investor live stream with Matt Money. They're going on. You guys can kick over as well. I will as well, but I'm going to stay back a little bit live and try to address some of these questions because I had just too many come in at the end here. And I really want to try to do that. When in doubt, just zoom out. Absolutely. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate. Very cool. I was going to join your live stream. I I felt like they kept attacking Tesla. Oh, you guys are funny. You guys, you younger generation are funny, man. Americans are even more funny, man. It's like we can't engage in like debate conversation without think we're attacking somebody. Um, I didn't think that was the case at all. I just think that there was some very passionate opinions about the stock, and it makes for an argument, right? It makes for a good debate when we're debating these things because I typically don't look at a topic like this, especially with stock, right? I know there's companies that have existed that at some point somebody's been very, very bullish on, very, very good companies that aren't around anymore, right? So to discuss Tesla as if it's, something extremely special, which it is, um, but whether or not it has a special acknowledgement that it can't go down or it won't go down or it's not a very, very good story, but maybe not so much of a good investment, or maybe the argument is that it's both, right? I think that was the separator for me, right? I'm not buying the stock. I'm bullish on the company. I'm not bullish on the stock. That's just me, right? And I think if I were going to put that through social media, I think there's a lot of people who would benefit from that opinion, who were ill prepared to enter into a pretty aggressive position like Tesla, because I think we can all agree it's fairly aggressive. It's an aggressive grower, right? It doesn't pay a dividend, and it's one of those investments that I think you would also agree that if you're going to invest in it, you better have diamond hands. All right, you're going to need some diamond hands to invest in the company, because if you're investing in Tesla for a couple months, you run the risk of losing a lot of money. All right, very cool. Brian says, dude, it's great to see you, my friend. Fantastic. I don't know if that was a ditch. That's all good. It's all right. It's all right, man. That's your opinion. Wait for the fat pitch. Highly on his mind. Very cool. Yeah, you guys are arguing. Apple's starting to make some moves. Yes, it was a great move. Actually, big tech and big everything moved nicely today. Amazon, Facebook. Facebook stayed out of the rally today. Microsoft was good. Amazon was obviously good, up 75 bits. I sold it today. I was up nicely. Took it into a little bit of a downturn, so I decided to put the $7,000 that I had, the $6,500 in the two shares aside for a bit. I'll monitor it. That was the only undervalued stock that I sold that I really didn't want to sell, but I did today. to put the cash to the side. We'll see. We'll be just fine. It'll be very cool. Yeah, Bristol Myers, sure. That's the one that I kept 100 shares of. All right. Almost to the end here, guys. Very cool. That's there's no doubt in my mind that both can be successful. Tesla definitely will. Hyliion is in such a beginning stage of the company. I believe that it will be successful. The question is how much time it will take to get their legs under, and whether or not they're going to reach some of these milestones, and whether or not stockholders can be actually surprised at some of these things. Because I think one government contract could really, really shake things up, or one government grant program, right? Something like that. There was a little bit of an ease on the rhetoric about restrictions on fracking and natural gas, right? So that ease right there actually helps Hyliion a little bit. So those types of discussions. You can't foresee everything, man. If you think that you can, come let me know, because I'm not one to say that that's possible for most of the part. I miss the sheep. Dun 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 dun. Fantastic. Lydia says I miss the sheep. I can do the sheep for the outro if you guys want, but there's no real. I only see that when I see a lot of groupthink on YouTube. All right. I got BYD. All right. America Dead, Iced a Year. I think you guys are going back and forth. That's a hell of an argument. Tesla versus Hyliion. I think it just. I think both will be fine. I think they're both competing for interesting. That's an epic intro. Thank you, my friend. I built it myself with my incredible computing skills, my editing skills, self-taught. I appreciate you, man. Very cool. Almost to the bottom. This was a hell of a live stream. There's a lot of visitors tonight. I was actually very surprised, man. If you guys are new to the channel, let's make it freaking a regular thing, man. I run this live stream with some conviction. I'm here every Friday. Why not, man? I got to talk to my friend from Sweden who decided to pulse in at 4 a.m. That's dedication, man, to come on and say hello, ask me about my interpretation of foreign markets. I wish I could have spoken with him more, but I think that's pretty awesome. But for you guys that are new to the message, I welcome. I see a ton of new people in here. So I'm stoked to see you keep hustling towards the financial freedom. And that goes for everybody, Nick. That's what we're all about here. I'm doing my thing. I expect everybody to take a page out of my playbook and really try to do the best they can. Outro, sheep intro, outro makes me laugh. All right, fantastic. That's what you guys got. So we'll close it out tonight, guys. I really didn't get to my notes. I never do, really. These topics that I put out there just to title it and maybe talk around a theme if I only have like 3 people show up to the live stream. But it was fun tonight. I enjoyed myself, man. There was some dynamics that happened during the live stream that were fun for me. I appreciate it. I never know what's going to happen. I never know what the hell I'm going to say. But we always keep wanting to push out the product and bring awareness to stock market investing, how important it is for people to wealth build for themselves. With that, guys, we'll kick off. We'll check you next Friday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I've been kicking on about 15 minutes earlier. And so you guys are welcome to kick on a little bit early. I'm always in the gallery early. If you feel like you want to kick on, talk to me. No problem. Kick on. Say hello, man. It's a great time to do that. I just appreciate the heck out of you guys and what you bring to the table. Keep killing it. And thank you so much for helping me support my mission to empower one investor at a time. We'll catch you next week, guys.